So, welcome. And um, the beginning of this session is based on breathing techniques, and we'll just do a little sample of several different ones. And the point of doing this right at the beginning is that we can carry through some of these techniques in the practice that we do subsequently. So, we want to be seated in a comfortable, upright position. And what can help with that is sitting on a bolster or blanket, but also, especially if you're in cross-legged, but it works in the kneeling position to do a little lean forward and adjust your sitting bones back. And then keep that position for your pelvis as you come upright again. Rest your hands onto your legs and settle in so that you feel well supported where you're grounded through your feet, your legs, and your hips. And the first of these techniques that I mentioned is a sighing kind of breath. And we can do these audibly because I think when we express the breath and we can hear it, it helps us anchor in our breathing and in our body. So it's an inhalation through your nose, and with your jaw relaxed, a soft exhalation out. In breath in a relaxed manner, and exhaling. It's kind of a idea of letting go with the exhalations. Physically releasing the shoulders and softening through the abdomen and diaphragm. And that's the kind of breath that we want to do when we relax, when we're in a relaxed position. And the second technique is a little bit noisier. It's the sound of PSS, a kind of a hissing sound. And then with me, try a few rounds like that. And especially be noting how that feels in the core of your body, in the abdominal and pelvic region. When I notice when I take this breath that it feels like my muscles, my skin are pulling into center a little bit more on the exhalation. So you might want to implement that type of breathing when you're doing stronger poses. And then the next breath is the who breath. And we'll do that through pursed lips on the exhalation. All of these are inhales through the nostril. And make sure that you're not recruiting any muscles from other parts of your body. So I'm tending to tighten my buttocks a little bit at the end of the exhalation. So if you note that, then just keep the core area engaged from the pubic bone to the navel. And see if you can sense and feel the breath right in the space between the front of your body and the back of your body too. And the last of these breaths is an audible breath again, but it's made with the mouth closed, and it's known as ujjayi breathing. So the inhalation and the exhalation are felt at the back of the lower palate, at the back of the throat, by closing it a little bit on the inhalation and the exhalation. And this is the breath that we more commonly use when there's effort in doing our asanas, but it can be used at other times too. So from here, in the way of props, I've got a chair nearby, a couple of blankets, my bolster, and a yoga block. And let's come to standing now. We are going to use the yoga block first off. So grab hold of it and place it between your inner thighs just above your knees. And you could just practice pressing against the block. When you do that from the backs of your thighs with a light pressure, then it tends to engage the buttocks and turn your thighs out. So see if you can use the front part of your thighs a little bit more, so there's an internal rotation to your legs. And that's going to work better in Uttanasana and downward facing dog pose. So take a knee bend, hinge from the front of your hips, and gradually bring your hands down and step your feet back for downward facing dog pose. Look at where you've placed your hands and open all of your fingers. Stretch your thumbs as well. And we like to warm up, it seems, just by pedaling the feet a little bit. So see if you can do that with still with the block and holding on to the block. So an opportunity for you to stretch those calf muscles a little bit more, which will come in handy later. Become increasingly aware of your breath and what are the cycles and the rhythms that help you to do even this little movement. And then let's take a walk forward, still gripping the block. And that puts you in Uttanasana. Bend your knees well over your ankles. And then take hold of your legs. I'm holding right at my shin bones, but you might be higher or lower on your legs. And then straighten your arms and lead with your front chest and lengthen out. Beautiful. The frontal body is stretched from your hips to your shoulders. And then release to walk back for your second dog pose. And then just check your holding of the block. So the grip is a little bit more towards the front of your thighs, but you're drawing back now in a static stretch. And what you might start to notice is the hamstring stretch at the backs of the legs. So from your back knees to your bum, there's a tilt of the tailbone up. From the backs of your knees to your heels, stretching down into your Achilles. Straighten your arms as much as you can at this time.
And then let's take that walk forward. For forward fold again. And maybe on this round, and as the body's warming up a little bit, we can take a deeper fold at the hips. And the breathing, you might want to adopt Ujjayi breathing here. You're breathing in, breathing out. And then last of these dog poses, taking your hands forward. Let's work into the shoulders. From here, lift your heels, come onto the balls of your feet. When you look back at your feet, you can see they're almost perpendicular when you get the heels nice and high. Now you can tilt the buttock bones up a little bit higher and then stretch well through your shoulders. Elbows, shoulders, stretching. Observe your breathing as you hold the pose a little bit longer. I'm just going to try a who breath here. And then lowering the heels and take a walk forward. And come all the way up with the knees bent and then unhinge and up to standing. Let's take a kneeling position, all fours kneeling. Looking very much like cat-cow position. And maybe go through a few dips of the spine and lifts of the spine with a breath rhythm. So exhaling, drawing the low belly up. Inhale, looking out towards the horizon. And from here, if we settle the buttocks back towards the heels, exhaling, we could bring the elbows down and practice that sigh breathing. Maybe not audible this time, but inhaling. And exhaling with that internal sound of the sigh, letting go your shoulders. Let's do a few strengthening exercises in kneeling. And we'll merely balance the weight onto right hand, left knee. Lift your right knee off the floor, bring it towards your chest, and then extend it back behind you. Tuck your toes under, and then lean back into your right leg. So my right foot toes are on the mat, and I'm just pressing back. Release, let yourself come forward a little bit, kind of a rocking movement. This is good for all the toe joints too. Good. Bend your right knee in, both knees in a line again, and lift your left knee and extend your left leg back. Tuck your toes under, and there's that lean back into the left leg. Oh, I could feel my calf muscle tighter on my left side. And rocking forward and back. These are easy positions and exercises to practice your breathing. Good. And then let's take the knees into a line. We're not quite finished there. This time when you bend your right knee in, then extend the leg back behind you and keep it elevated. Keep the both hips level and tuck in. That seems to me a natural exhalation. Extend the leg out, inhaling. One more. Exhale in. Inhale. Extend the leg. Good. And then set that right knee down. Lift your left knee, bring it into your chest, and continue. Very aware of your breathing. And leg extends and back to go. And then let's take child's pose. Bring your elbows in closer to your knees. Maybe fold your hands and rest your head onto your folded hands. So in my position, you'll be able to see my buttocks all the way to my heels, but keep your buttocks a little elevated if the hips still feel stiff or the legs feel stiff. All right, let's go back to all fours kneeling. Good. Let's add another movement. So do a little movement planning. Picture this in your mind. You're going to bend your right knee in and your left elbow at the same time. So balance your weight, right hand, left knee, lift your right knee off the floor, tuck that left arm in, and then extend both limbs out. In this contralateral movement, see if you can balance using your core muscles. It's not so easy to balance when you're talking at the same time. And then one more round. And both hand and knee back in contact with the floor. Pause. Draw your shoulders back. I was tensing up there, so just watch that is not your position too. Let's continue. And it's right elbow, left knee, bend in, balancing on the other two limbs, and extend out. When you tuck in, you could bring your chin in if you're well balanced there. And when you lengthen out, looking forward. That's quite challenging. All right, and then both hands in a line, both knees in a line, and take your break. When you draw back, then sense and feel that letting go through maybe that ah breath internally, sighing. In the last round of what we're doing towards strengthening the body, we're going to progress it and add another part of the limb stretches. So let's start. Right knee comes up towards your abdomen, left elbow bends in. Now extend the arm away from you, the leg away from you. And then move your left arm out to the left. Move your right leg out to the right. And you've just increased the distance from your center of gravity. And then bring that back into center and lower down. You've also increased the weight, I think, on the grounded limbs. So we bend the right elbow in, left knee in, extend out, straight out from the body, and then let's see what happens when you swing the right arm right, the left arm left. Good. Bring it in using your core muscles and take this lovely break in child's pose. I hope it's lovely for you, and letting the breath go with that internal sigh of letting go. All right, and then come up and all the way to standing. And grab your block once more. And facing the camera, as I am, take up your block
and place it between the thighs again. So with a little pressure towards the frontal part of the thigh, turn your thighs in, relax your shoulders. Take a little time to feel more and more grounded through your feet. In a class that I did recently, a student said, just imagine your feet like tap roots of a tree. And trees have an amazing root system. And when we connect with that, we feel more and more earthed. So feel that for yourself. Bring your arms out a little distance from the side of your body and curl forward. And feel more and more grounded as your upper limbs help you do that. And then let's stretch away from that groundedness. Bring your arms all the way up. And then take that more coiled position, grounding your feet. And again, and a big circle of your arms up. That's a natural inhalation. Exhaling, feeling more and more grounded. Last one, bringing your arms up. And then just down to your side. And we've done a pretty good warm-up for Utkatasana, for chair pose. So as I was saying, stay connected with your feet. Take a knee bend and bring your arms up alongside your ears. And reach out through the tips of your fingers and down through your heels and your forefoot. Take another couple of breaths there. Feel your breath. And exhale. Bring your arms down as you straighten your legs. Let's add another progressive with the balancing pose. And we're going to take the rise on the balls of our feet. So chair pose first. Lift your heels. Balance on the forefoot and the toes. Keep extending the arms out on that diagonal line. And then let's see how we go to rise up. And heels are up. And then delicately coming down, arms and heels. Maybe that wasn't so delicate for you. Doesn't always work that way. All right, let's go again. Really good exercise for your feet and your toes. And Utkatasana, just hold it longer so that you can bring your buttocks back a little bit. Perhaps deepen the crease at the front of your thighs. And then let's rise up on the heels. And all the way up. Still on a rise. And exhale down. Good work. And then let's take that block away. As we move to the wall, and I'm going to have my right side facing the wall at an arm's length distance. And that means that the wall's there for security or for safety, but I don't necessarily have to use it. So let's practice this simple exercise. You're going to transfer the weight onto your left foot. Bring your arms forward and up with your palms open, and at the same time lift your knee up. You're going to balance on your left foot, lifting your right knee. And then return the foot to the floor and your arms by your side. Let's go again. Right foot comes up. Right leg comes up. Your arms are helping you do that. My balance is shaky on this leg and foot, so that's what happens. And then bring your arms out to goal pose position and take your right knee out to the right side. You can see I'm using the wall as needed. So your knee is out to the side in an open position, and your arms are out to the side in that goal post position. And then exhale, lower your arms, lower your legs. Let's try that one more time. I'll see if my balance improves. And inhale. It's almost like the arms are helping you lift your leg. And then take that knee out to the side, kind of like like opening a gate. And the arms crooked at the elbow at a right angle. And then lower your arms, lower your legs. All right. And let's do second side. Transfer your weight onto your right foot and right leg. That's your weight-bearing leg. Use your hands in that opens position to draw your knee up. And then bringing the knee out to the side. And your elbows out to the side. And then bring them back in. If you're struggling a little bit, and I've been a good example of that, be kind to yourself. It's all just a practice, not a performance. Keep your weight on your right leg again. Let's go one more cycle like that. Notice your breathing. And partly because I'm talking at the same time, my breathing is a little breathless. Knee out to the side, arms out to the side. So just noting that. And then lower the leg, lower the arms. Good. And then give the legs a shake out. That takes a lot of concentration. I didn't say it in the beginning, but it's best to have a focal point that you can concentrate on, and that will help keep your balance along with the breathing. This was a natural lead-in, I think, to tree pose. So let's do that. Let's take tree pose. Again, I'm near to the wall. Let your left leg be your weight-bearing leg. Lift your right foot and your right knee up towards your chest. And then place your foot along your right leg where it works for you to do that. Now, my tree has just leaned into the wall, so let me come back and center myself by dropping the right hip. And if you are well balanced there, then you can bring your hands in front of your chest or your arms straight overhead. Just before we finish here, press your left thigh into your right foot, and that right hip will drop a little bit. And then release for side 2. Take your time, find that focal point if that helps you. Find your breath rhythm. Lift your left knee and bring your left foot onto your right thigh. Good. Take pause, observe your breathing, and bring your thigh towards your foot. Drop your left foot. Add the hands together or arms stretch overhead if you like. And then release all of that. We'll do one more one leg balancing, which is really great for strengthening your legs. And we'll do that by, let's see, adding big toe pose, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. So, my right side is facing the wall. Let's go the other way. Have your left hip facing the wall. Bring your left hand onto the wall at shoulder height. Lift your right knee towards your chest. As you bring that leg up, drop the right hip, and then extend the right leg in front of you. That's your big toe pose. Then see what it's like to bring that leg behind the line of the body, so kicking that leg back. And this time when you bring your right leg forward, bring your right arm back behind you. And let's do a swing right arm forward, right leg back. And balancing those two movements, mindful of your breath, find your breath rhythm. If it happens that you don't need the wall for support, you can add the movement through the opposite arm. I'm going to be shaky on this side, I can tell you. So same side arm goes forward as that leg goes back. Good. And then 2 feet on the ground. Take a moment and then truly feel grounded. Relax your shoulders and over to the other side. Bear your weight through your right leg. Lift your left knee towards your chest and extend that leg forward. With a swing, so the trunk comes forward slightly, hinges forward, and the leg goes back and swings forward and back. As the leg comes forward this time, same side arm comes back behind the line of the body, and then we swing upper limb forward and then back. Good. And find your breath rhythm again. If you're able to balance on that weight-bearing leg, then you might add the arm movement. The arms are moving in opposite directions. All right, and then happily coming down to ground, both feet. And all of that took a bit of concentration, so let's let go a bit and shake out your wrists and your elbows and your shoulders, your hips, and let go of all that. Well done. Let's take a classic standing pose, which is Warrior 2 pose. I'm going to grab my block again. And in this version of Warrior 1, facing the short end of the mat, place the block on the upright and then bring your feet forward so that I've got my big toes just on the sides of the block. Let's come to Tadasana. And let's integrate a few movements. So there's the breath. And you might use Ujjayi breathing to steady yourself in this position. Let the shoulders rest easy at the top of the skeleton. The arms a little bit away from the sides of the body. Draw the abdominal area into a stronger position by lifting from the pubic bone to the navel. And the diaphragm still free and relaxed to breathe evenly. For Warrior 1, step left foot back. And then notice we want to be at a distance that allows the hips to be square and level. So if you take your leg back too far, then that limits your ability to create that evenness. So you don't want to be too close so there's no challenge to the pose, but otherwise not too far either. So find that just right distance. And then from here, at the same time as we bend the right leg, we're going to bring the arms up. And it's inhale, arms come up. Take a slight diagonal. So it's a lean forward. It's not a hinging from the hips so much, but that line lets you extend your arms, extend your shoulders and your shoulder blades. And then release and lower the arms and step up. Left foot, right foot back. Take a moment to notice the hips and level the two frontal hips. This time lean back a little bit into your right leg and feel the muscles engage when you do that. Keep them engaged, the right buttock, right hamstrings, and then from there take your lunge and bring your arms up. Take a little bow forward, deepen that forward momentum, reaching out and breathing evenly. And straighten that leg as you lower your arms and push off the back foot and Tadasana. Right foot back again. A lean back into the left leg that activates your hamstrings and your buttock, and then bending your right leg. And take a pause there and draw the right knee back into the hip socket. That's a really good strengthening movement. It's not all about flexibility. And allow your right knee to move slightly out to the right towards the little toe side of your foot. Feel the back leg strong, and then from that strength, extend the arms out. And let's step off the back foot, straightening the front leg, and step forward. So adding these details, not to make the pose complicated, but to be more in the details of the pose, to create more sensation in the body. So back leg strong, bend your left leg, inhale your arms up, reach out, lengthen out. Feel the whole frontal body from your hip bones to your shoulders, long. And then take that left knee a little bit to the left. Draw the left groin into the body. Breathing evenly. Good. And as you raise the torso, straighten the front leg and lower the arms, stepping forward. All right. So we've got that down pretty well. Let's add, in a vinyasa style, the forward bend Parsvottanasana. So left foot back. And setting ourselves up well here. Let's take the lunge. And then picture this in your own mind. Where you go next is to bring your hands down onto the block. You're still in the lunge as you do that, so it's easy to reach the top of the block. And then from there, do what you can to straighten the front leg. Keep the low belly lifted up. Don't let that interfere with your breathing. And let's hold for several breaths here. Lift your tailbone. Because I've got the block there for support, with straight arms, I can open my chest forward easily and lighten the weight on my hips. Let's trace our steps back. Bend your knee over your ankle. You're in your lunge. Bring your arms forward and up. And exhale down. And big step forward. Good. Not rushing. Setting ourselves up with a grounded pose. And then we come into Warrior One. First part. Second part, lean out over the front thigh. Take your hands down onto the block. Lift your tailbone up. Good. Now I've pretty well straightened my front leg. Because I tend to hyperextend, I like to keep a little knee bend there. And you might want to do that too, especially if your hamstrings are tight. Then pump up your chest. Lead with your breastplate forward. Returning to lunge, and then as you bring your arms forward and up, straighten your front leg, lower your arms. That movement when you bring your arms forward and up, your arms are a distance away from your body, so they're away from your center of gravity. So you really have to ground yourself into your feet. Both feet forward. We'll have one more round, and this one you can progress the pose by taking the block away and bringing your hands down onto your shin bone, onto your lower leg. That's up to you. Or you can keep using the block, and that has merits by itself. Inhale. Take your lunge. Exhale. Lean out. Extend the arms and the torso over your bent leg. And then take Parsvattanasana, a forward fold with a deep hinge at the top of that right thigh. Bring the left hip forward a little bit more. Yeah, you may have warmed up the hamstrings to get the hands down further. Observe your breathing. All right, and we take the lunge, bending your knee over your ankle, and then bring your arms forward and all the way up to standing. Straight leg, straight arms, and lower the arms, step up. Good, last side. From Warrior One. And taking it out. And when you bring your hands down this time onto the top of the block, onto your shin bone, onto the floor, then the front leg starts to straighten. Lift your tailbone. And deepen the movement as much as your breathing will allow, for one thing, as your hamstrings will allow. Good. Keep your core muscles engaged as you start to come out through the lunge and swinging the arms forward and up, standing and step forward. Good. And once again, took a bit of concentration there. Shake out legs, shake out arms, even shake your head. Very well done. Let's take some time for a couple of abdominal exercises. And we need a bolster for this. So I've got my bolster crossways on my mat. And I'm going to lie on my back in front of the bolster. And lift my feet up onto the bolster. So feet are elevated on the bolster, and I'm just lying flat with my arms by my side. And in this abdominal exercise, bring your right knee into your chest. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Depending on your hamstring stretch, the leg is straight or straightish. Bring your hands across your navel center and then gradually lower that leg towards the floor. If you start to notice that the abdomen is puffing up, then probably that's the point to bring the leg back up to the vertical. And you can do that by bending the leg. So we might take kind of like a drawbridge configuration of that leg lowering down and lifting up. And notice any rocking of the hips or of any unsteadiness there. And keep your core muscles engaged to avoid any of that. One more lift of the leg. And then replacing your right foot onto the floor next to its mate. Relax your shoulders, draw them down if you need to. And bend your left leg in and extend the leg
either completely straight or nearly straight, and lower in a slow fashion. So if you work slowly here, then your leg muscles be taxed a bit more. And it gives you time to notice whether the abdomen is still deflated, zipped up towards the floor on raising and lowering. Right? And then the last elevation, and then bend the leg and both feet onto the bolster. All right, we'll do one more of these and then progressing to circle the leg. But first of all, set yourself up well and feel the leg bones drawn down into the hip. So when you did the tree poses and you felt your root system and you were grounded, now we're rooting down through the head of the femur towards the floor. And then from there, maybe keep your arms by your side, this time with your elbows straight. And as you circle the leg, avoid any rocking of the tilting of the pelvis side to side. So my circle is very small. It's about the size of a gold coin. In one direction, then the other direction. And if I were to move the leg in wider circles, that feels like I've lost my center. So the navel should stay drawn in and the left side of your body grounded as you move the leg farther away from your center of gravity. So you can experiment with it, but with a sense of integrity, keep the hips, the back of the pelvis on the floor as you go along here. And notice when you go off balance. And then right foot to the floor and pause. Left leg up. And those tiny circles are a good way to have a baseline. And notice, it's always a curiosity when one side is so different than the other. Notice the difference between this and the first side. And then you might make wider circles, saucer or dinner plate size, as long as you can control that evenness through the back of the pelvis. And we've gone the other direction, I hope. Good. And then both feet on the floor, on the bolster. Just push the bolster away and have your feet on the floor, ready to take up your block again, wherever it might have migrated. And keep the block between your inner thighs. And then just experiment. If you press towards the back of the block, then the legs roll out and it feels like the low back is a bit squashed like that. And then if we work with the inner thighs right in the middle or towards the front of the thighs, we want the thighs to turn in. So ground your feet here. Keep your arms, palms down by the side of your body. And then we're going to come up into a little bridge. And we can do this well with the breath rhythm, with an inhale to lift up and an exhale, imprinting the spine back to the floor. This time when you come up, stay up for several more breaths. keep that internal rotation of the legs, a light pressure onto the block. And notice if you're pushing towards your shoulders and your head. And reverse that and lengthen the top of your thighs towards your knees. And then release the spine down in a slow fashion and feel the individual vertebrae touching down. All right, and then third time, let's go up. And the hamstrings are strong. You could even palpate and feel if they're switching on, encouraging them to switch on. The buttock muscles, the outer hips lifting, and then find your way to ground. If we hold a pose for longer, take several breaths, but notice your breath. And then take away your block, and we'll do one more um, movement to encourage the strength in the abdominal, in the core. Step your right foot in front of your left foot. Plant your feet with equal strength. And then from here, lift your hips up. So at this time, and in the manner that we're doing the pose, avoid any sway to either side. And coming all the way up. And then in a very slow breath out, coming down. And both feet in a line, and then left foot forward of your right foot. Take the sense of grounding into your left foot, right thigh, right foot, and then come on up. And once again, avoiding a sway. And exhale, come down. And once your buttocks touch down, then bend your knees into your chest. Rest your hands on the upper shins or your knees and rock a little bit on your lower back. Okay, good. And then both feet on the floor and roll to the side. And let's round out this sequence with some seated twists. So take up your chair. When you're seated sideways on your chair, it's the right side that faces towards the back of the chair. And a couple of things are helpful here. One is to have both feet flat on the floor and knees and feet slightly separated. And also that adjustment through the pelvis, so the tailbone lifts a little bit, the buttock bone's back, and you can feel your two sitting bones onto the chair. Then bring your hands onto the back of the chair. As you do that, then you've begun to bring yourself into rotation in a really gentle way. And we want to work like that. So not using the hands and the arms to lever ourselves around, but to allow that rotation to happen more naturally. So the head and neck, allowing them to turn. And then in the manner that I like to do this pose, lift your elbows and feel your shoulder blades. So connecting the shoulder blades with the rotation too. And then breath by breath going into your rotation. Inhale, elongating,
Exhaling, rotating. Inhale creates the space for you to turn on the exhalation. You might feel your core muscles engage here. Then to complete, look back the other direction. So you've probably been looking over your right shoulder. Look over your left shoulder. Grow tall again. And then release. And left side to the back of the chair. You might rub your feet on the floor and feel them nice and grounded. Rock a little bit side to side on your sitting bones and feel grounded there. And then bring your hands up onto the back of the chair. And lift your elbows. Broaden your front chest. Open your lungs, open your heart, and begin your rotation. With the help of your breath. Long spine on the inhalations. Core muscles engaged to help you rotate. Let's take 2 more long breaths like that. I'm using Ujjayi breathing. The end of the exhalations, it feels like you're just squeezing the air out. And then to complete, look the other direction, look over the opposite shoulder. Notice if it's elevated and roll it down and out. And then release. And let's go back to the original side, to the right side. And then, because we're moving towards the more reflective and contemplative part of the class and the relaxation, let's change our manner of breathing. So resting your hands onto your thighs, close your eyes for a moment. Get the sense of the groundedness and also your feet, your seat. And bring your hands around to the top of the chair. You can do this eyes open or eyes closed. Lift your elbows. And think about what you're about to do with a little motor planning. You're going to inhale and then exhale. And before you inhale again, there's a little window of opportunity to take a breath. So you're breathing between the exhalation and the inhalation. And there's only a little moment there. So the breath, it might be quite short. Let's do this first round together. Inhaling, exhaling, and then take the rotation. Turn a little bit more in that space that opens up. So it's inhalation and exhalation. A little window of opportunity to turn. And one more round like that. The breath in, the breath out, rotate, and breathe your next cycle. Good. Other side. So we start out, and once again, if it's easier to keep track of this with your eyes closed, then do that. Lift your elbows. So we take the inhalation and the lungs are full. The exhalation, the core muscles engaged. Before you inhale again, rotate. And then begin the next cycle, inhalation, exhalation. Take your own time with this, your own breath rhythm. And last one. All right, and well done. And then let's just take the chair for support, for, this version of chair shavasana, we call it. We're going to have the legs on the chair and lying flat in front of the chair. What you might consider here is comfort for your own particular anatomy. So I've got 2 blankets here. And because I'm shorter, it helps me to bring my legs into more comfort on the chair, to have a little height underneath my hips. The other blanket you can use as a pillow to support the back of your head if you feel like you need that for your comfort. If you're taller, on the other hand, then put your blankets up onto the chair, and then they'll support the length of your legs. Grab an eye covering, once again, for maximum comfort. And it's also quite a nice thing to do, and I won't do it today, but you can place the bolster that you've been using onto your lower legs, especially if you add weight onto a part of your body, then it helps settle not only that part of your body, but your nervous system. So it's a really great thing to do. If you tend not to be able to relax so well, even though this is your time, we're encouraged to practice self-care here, but it doesn't always come easily. So what you might do with your arms by your side is to press them down, press the backs of your arms down, lift your back chest just a little bit off the floor, roll your shoulders down, your shoulder blades down, and then release the back to the floor. So it's going to form a nice flat square with the floor instead of having any parts protruding. And you could leave your arms there out to the side, or fold the arms in so that the hands rest across the torso. Something really comforting about bringing the hands onto the body and encouraging them to send the message of softening, settling, relaxing. And with the care that we've done to place ourselves in comfort and support, then at this point there's probably no further need to move the body, and we can change the focus to the breath. And keeping it simple, on every exhalation, allow the abdomen to recede. Falling back into the body. The really lovely thing about this particular version of Shavasana is that it's very restful for the pelvis. The thigh bones are suspended from the knee to the hip socket and just released to gravity. The groins receding as well.
and the abdomen, the core muscles, softening so the abdominal pelvic area feels empty of everything but the breath. No tension there. Now it's always possible for you to stay as long as you want in the reclining positions. However, if you feel inclined to move out now, you're going to take a moment to bend the legs in and just wait a moment longer before you lower the legs. Send yourself the message to stay relaxed and to take that relaxation into coming upright. And we finish this session sitting. I'm going to grab my blankets to sit on. And once seated, take a little time, settle. Because the emphasis has been so strongly about breathing, take time here in that settling process to feel your breath again. Notice any changes you might have noted from the beginning of the session to the finish here. More often than not, the breath is happening below the level of consciousness. And I would have hoped that in this session there was an opportunity for you in bringing the breath into awareness to create the means of feeling peaceful and calm. And then to finish, bring your hands into prayer position in front of your chest, where the thumbs touch the breastplate. Lift up a little bit there. Open up the corners of your chest. Incline your head towards your heart. And feel your own kind energy there. Own inherent goodness. And in this gesture of showing respect for ourselves, we share that with everyone.
Namaste.